Hello, and today we're back on the couch. Welcome back to day 16 of Save for Christmas. We have officially 10 days today, right? So we're almost there. Hopefully you all truly have Christ and are truly getting some stuff out of these lessons. This is part 3 of the 7 deadly sins. Today is on greed, which is the third part, as I was saying yesterday, in the 3 parts from lust to gluttony, now to greed, right? So we get to read a very interesting book today. We get to go to Ecclesiastes in the Old Testament, and we're going to read Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 9 and 10. Moreover, the profit of the earth is for all. The king himself is served by the field. Okay, remember that. He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity. Right, so first off, verse 9, it tells us that the king is basically no better in profit-wise than the people, because the field pays him as well as the other people, okay? So they're all going to get their fair share of the field, right? This is a direct attack at greed, okay? And you see that because greed is the idea of mine. It's idolatry. It's the idea of profit. Profit is not a bad thing in the Bible, of course. Everybody needs some kind of profit to make a living, to survive. That's just our society, right? There's no real way around that. Even God acknowledges this fact when he says that you should give the church and you should give to the poor, or in the form me, 20% of your earnings, right? Which means you're getting earnings, okay? So that's the important part to take away from that in this case. However, what becomes a problem is profit, and your want for profit ascends the want for the Father, right? And ascends the want for your relationship with Jesus Christ. That's where greed comes from, right? You get this idea of greed in our culture as that's all you think about, and that's true. To turn that into a religious aspect, it's to think about greed or money and profit more than God, right? Now, once again, greed doesn't necessarily have to mean money. Greed can also mean power, right? It can mean anything it's basically gluttony, but you not have it, right? Okay? So now you just need to take in as much as possible and not give any away. That's what greed is, right? When you don't give your 20% to the Lord, it is considered to be greed, because now you cannot give it up. A great example of this is Matthew, right? In the book of Matthew, is it Matthew? The Gospels. In the Gospels, we hear of a man, a very wealthy man, who goes up to Jesus and says, I've done everything I possibly can to be close to you and to worship you. What's the last thing? What is anything else, any extra step I can do to be as close to you as possible? Without blinking, Jesus says, sell all your possessions right now, humble yourself, become less lavish, and follow me without your possessions. And the man turned away with a very deep and upset heart. That is because this wealthy man, even though he was doing all these different things for Christ, he had that greed in his heart. He had that love for his possessions over love for the Christ, right? So it's not necessarily that Jesus in that parable, what many people take from that is, we need to go and sell everything. To some degree, we should be able to give away things, but that man specifically, Jesus read his heart and said, okay, you love your possessions more than me. You need to give up your idol. That's the whole thing with greed, your idol, right? You need to be able to give up what you are holding over me, okay? And that is exactly what he is telling us, because you see, any of these sins, you have to understand that sin, not only is it pleasurable, but it's also a prison keeper, right? It is your warrant. It is your person who is keeping you captive. And we have to be aware of that, okay? So profit can be something keeping you captive. Gluttony can be keeping you captive. Lust can be keeping you captive, right? And we need to be able to break away from these things. And Christ is saying, I am able to free you of your chains of sin by giving you forgiveness and grace and love. And we have to be able to accept that. Because as much as Jesus is offering it, he's not going to shove it into you. Okay? He's going to hold his hand out. He's going to reach it out as far as he can. But it's just out of reach that he can't grab us all the way. What that's implying is we have to also be able to grab out to him and allow for that pull in together, right? He can't just grab you, okay? He can't just pull you into his love. He's not going to do that because that takes away free will. Now, because of God's grace and love, he's saying, okay, now you have the option to be saved by me, to actually reach for my hand as much as I'm reaching for yours, or you can fall into your sin and try and enjoy it for the time that you have it, which in the end, and even on this life, you'll see that sin is not as pleasurable as it may sound. And then you get, of course, your final decision and your reward for your decision, which would be hell. Okay? So it's a very dangerous game to play and act in these things, especially with greed. Okay? And it sounds scary until you realize the almighty and all-powerful God is giving us a wonderful gift, which is remission. And if we're able to accept that, our lives and our eternity will be in a lot better hands. And have a blessed day.